call the meeting of the town council to order tonight. If you would please stand for the invocation and remain standing for our pledge of allegiance. You'll need you will at that time. Our God, we thank you for the beauty of this day and the glory of your handiwork that we've been able to enjoy and be a part of. We thank you for these that have offered themselves to be servants. The scripture teaches us he that will be the greatest among us will be the servant of all. And we want to be servants tonight. Let's to serve our town. Let's to serve each other. We ask tonight that you would help us in every deliberation, that we would be kindly affectionate and understanding to each the other, and we'll do those things in the best interest of our community. And we ask all this in your name. Amen.
Amen. Attention. Salute. Pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Jackson.
We've been here taking place. I believe the last meeting we had the best sound that we've had in a long time. Everybody was wearing their mics and they were speaking so really good.
We got to find Mr. Jeff one. We got to find Mr. Jeff one. We've searched, but we haven't located one yet.
I'll just leave there and talk to Mr. Lightbirds.
Oh, yeah, that's all right.
I'll brush my teeth.
Okay, everyone had an opportunity to pick up your package and have read the book, etc. Shall we? Okay, we need to swear in the driver before we do the consent agenda.
Yeah, we need to,
Okay.
do something else
All
around
right.
here.
Or you want to do that, Mr.
Mr. Jeff's going to
Okay,
come
ready to do
around.
it? Okay, please.
If you're ready to try it,
Yeah.
are we going to try to get on the camera here? You want to get right in front of her?
Yeah.
You take a picture of that later. I've got Miss Nancy going to take a picture of you.
I'm sorry I have to read from the paper. I've done this a few dozen times, but I always want to make sure. Put your pen on the Bible there. Ready?
Ready.
All right. I do solemnly swear or affirm
I do solemnly swear or affirm
that I will support, protect, and defend
that I will support, protect, and defend
the Constitution and government
the Constitution and government
of the United States and of the state of Florida,
of the United States and the state of Florida.
that I am duly qualified to hold office
And I'm duly qualified to hold office
under the Constitution of the state,
under the Constitution of the state,
and that I will well and faithfully
that I will well and faithfully
perform the duties
perform the duties
of the office on which I am now about to enter.
of the office in which I'm about to enter.
So help you God.
So help me God.
All right, congratulations.
Thank you.
One more time.
We got one more presentation to make before we start.
To the council.
Thank you, unless you do it.
This is for Roger. Roger?
Oh, he's going to do something.
Yeah.
Everything done. So, Rob,
Get the slenderizing limbs out, Nancy. It's a resolution of the Board of Directors of the Florida League of Cities Incorporated honoring Roger D. Hagan for 35 years of elected service and presented him with the John Lane Years of Service Award in recognition of his unselfish community and municipal leadership and government.
I was going to say, reach out and touch it or do something.
You get it?
I think I did.
No question.
Thank you, Margaret, and
When you get 40, they said they'll come present it themselves.
This thing's right in there.
actually, time to do more.
Well, yes, that's right.
At least once.
No problem.
I appreciate the recognition. It is in fact an honor, a privilege to serve. I know those are overly used words sometimes, but every time I say it, I mean it. This town is just, it's just a part of my DNA, if that's possible to be that. Okay. All right, now then, we do need to pull item E from the consent agenda and read those. These are the ones that Mark just asked Mr. Carter about, and we're going to pull those in the abundance of caution and read them again. We should have read these earlier, so we'll do that. With that said, do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda, which is the agenda, the minutes of the last meeting, our financial statement, and the fire department minutes?
I make that motion.
We have a motion, is there a second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second, any discussion on the motion? How do you vote, Mr. Carter?
Yes.
Mr. Park? Yes. Ms. Rattenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Wolfson?
Yes.
And the chair votes yes. Now, I know, I welcome Ms. Rattenberg back, but I want to congratulate Ms. Judy and Mr. Bill. They have both had several months of health issues, and they're both back and doing well tonight, and we're so glad that things have worked out and that the outcomes have been as good as they are. We're glad to have y'all back both at the same time.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Okay. Our next item on the agenda is the public hearing. This is the, we are going to recess the meeting for just a few minutes and open the public hearing. And this is the public hearing that we need to have on the closure of Jackson Street from the right-of-way of Glen Avenue, north 300 feet. So that public hearing is now open. Is there anyone in the public who would like to address this action? Anyone want to speak on the closing of that 300 feet of street? Anyone on the council wish to address it?
Where is this located?
Come back, Jasperstown.
Oh.
Off the curb and going up.
Going up the curb, driveway, Bobby Wilson. Yeah.
Anyone on the council like to address the issue? Okay, we'll close the public hearing, reopen our regular meeting, and we will deal with that down on the agenda itself, okay? Is there anyone in the audience who has not signed in, that is not on the agenda, that would like to speak to the... Okay, moving right down the line, we come to the clerk.
Okay, as y'all are aware, everyone should be aware that our maintenance, our part-time maintenance person, David Ferguson, turned in his keys and resigned on June the 20th. And we probably, and this is the discussion if we are going to go forward and advertise for a part-time maintenance for inmate supervisor, or whether we're going to use the inmates, or whether we're going to just let it go. We do need the help,
Mr. Ferguson, as I understand the call that I got, brought his keys in and resigned effective immediately on the 20th. No notice, did not work out any notice. Felt like it was in his best interest not to continue with the city. He presented no complaints that I am aware of to us, and he had opportunity just a few nights prior to that in our meeting to speak to us. I guess we have to the order. What we need to do is accept his resignation. I'm sure that it's. When he said it was effective, but do we need to take action on it?
No, sir.
Okay, all right. So Mr. Ferguson is resigned, and now what do we need to do about replacing him, or make a course correction on our maintenance department?
Well, I don't think it may be the best interest of Wausau not to replace, to have somebody else. I mean, if he's continually worked inmates, and this is the busiest time of the year for Wausau, now it's gonna be winter time, ain't gonna be that much to do. I don't think, unless something emergency happens. I just think it's maybe doing it's okay right now. That's my thinking now. I mean, I'm just one of 5, so,
Mr. Parks?
I agree with John Earl. It is just a little while to winter, and ain't gonna be that much work. And, that's my opinion.
Mr. Carter?
The inmates are here year round.
They can be used,
If we get them,
if we get them.
Well,
They're actually here as little as we want them or as much as we want.
okay, that's what I need. Okay. Can we get along without, if we had another maintenance person, if we had 2 maintenance people, could we get the work done without them? Because it's hard to find a maintenance person that wants to guard the inmates,
That does seem to be
the problem.
what we're running into a lot. I've had contact with one person since they knew that David had resigned, and he had an interest if we re-advertised, but you're right. Our last two, the reason they left was because they didn't want to do inmates.
So if we're probably have them or not? I don't know.
Good question.
Ms. Rivenburg?
So is there an officer that would watch the inmates?
Do they in Vernon or
No,
Shipley? Vernon and Shipley both. I think the county has some DOC supervisors who are DOC employees, but we also have a number of county employees that goes to school and gets a card. I don't think they would give us for our small jurisdiction and as little as we have, I don't think they would give us a DOC officer. It won't hurt to ask.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking with my experience that it would be harder to get an officer to come.
I thought that's how they always did it in the past. They had an officer that.
And they stopped that, yeah, they stopped all that. They said we gotta have certified.
Does the county still have some that are officers?
I don't think so.
I was thinking that
I don't know.
probably most of them now are county employees who've gone to the school, but I don't know that
I
either.
don't know.
We can check on that. Whatever we do tonight is probably going to still be a little bit flexible, because everything's covered right now. We just need to make everybody aware that David's leaving, but,
And Tim went and got certified, and he's getting the inmates now. He's doing his regular work 2 days a week, and getting the inmates 2 days a week. He'll go get them, having, inmates to help with the weed eating and all that. But, if we have a break, the prison's gonna have to come get those inmates, because he can't get all of it. If you supervise the inmate, you supervise the inmate. You don't get out and do any physical labor. You have to sit there and watch them. And their biggest complaint is they get down there to check them out at 7 o'clock. They don't get through a count or out of count until sometimes 9 o'clock or later. And they get out of that, then they gotta have them back at 1, to go back into count.
have we checked on that to see if that's accurate?
I was asking Ms. Ridenberg, she was the guard.
Well,
Because the county goes down and they're back out and ready to go to work, and everybody's ready to go to work.
yeah, I didn't know that they made y'all turn them in.
I don't, that's what we're just understanding, I don't know.
I will check on that.
Well, good.
She still works there.
Yeah, I'll check on
I would
that.
suspect if we had somebody that's there to pick them up when it's time for them to go to work, that they got a brown bag and ready to go to work.
Yeah, that's what I would think too.
And I don't think they gotta be there till 1 o'clock. And I think that's some best information.
Well, now, I know that, they start serving chow like at 3:30-ish, right after they finish that count. I would think they'd have to be back by then.
I thought it was 2:30, they had to be back in there,
Yeah, I know we used to start back toward the yard by 2 or something like that.
I'll find out.
And so land good is this, we are coming up on the fall and winter months, and the growing season is going, unless we get a lot of rain, about two more cuttings. If you've got centipedes going, all you have to mow your yards, it'll be, but if we don't replace that person, and then the springtime comes again, we decide we need it, it's gonna be harder for us to keep on finding somebody if it's not gonna be a regular job, if they're not gonna have a job. The other thing is, what Margaret said, is if we have the inmates, then the prison may come and get them, but whatever our emergency is gonna still be an emergency while they find a truck and find somebody and get them on the road and get them up here and things like that. And we should have emergency if we take them back and then have to come back to it. So, Mr. Walsingham had a good response when we went down and he asked for us to get inmates again. And we heard all the time, just get inmates, let's get inmates, let's get inmates, and then we got inmates, what we're gonna do with it. So we need to decide what we think is in the best interest of the town, and I think that's what she was trying to express, is what you felt was the best for the town. If it's best not to have them, it's best not to have them at all, or work out something. Now, Tim does have his card, but, and in the winter, there may not be grass to mow, that's a good time to clean up this yard, these grounds around here. We look like we're working in the backside of a salvage yard or something out here sometimes. And be a good time to do painting, be a good time to go around the buildings and treat the buildings and do, it's a time to do some things. We all like to think we got inmates just for mowing. It's time to dig some ditches out, open up some drainage, and open up some outfalls and some things like that. So
Time to read the time to slow down.
that's right.
And keep in mind, you know, the 77 meeting is next Thursday night. We've got 3 years of construction through here. We're gonna need everybody that is able to be here, you know. It's not gonna be a piece of cake like they say.
But the concern that Ms. Carter brings up is probably a real concern we're going to have to, if we do replace them, we need to make sure that from the application process, the interview and everything, that the job is going to be working with inmates. Now, in Mr. Carter's instance, that's not what we told him up front. We got the inmates and we shifted him. He decided that's not what he wanted to do. But with Mr. Ferguson, he knew from the first day that it was going to be inmates. And
So I have a question. What about maybe like, say, since there's no kind of wreck or anything going on, what about Steve possibly getting certified and using the inmates to clean up around the possum palace and the ball fields and all of that? Would he though?
I think,
No, he won't.
I think with Steve, we might assign him more duties. Does his job description say other things as well?
Every job description has
But he
specific.
reminded me that we are the ones that took the mowing down in the ball field from him and gave it to our own maintenance people, and then maybe we did that at the cemetery as well. But if he does it, he's gonna be doing it like this time of day on Saturdays because he has a full-time job. He's just a part-time. So he wouldn't leave the job for, what's it, $500, $600 a month, stuff, whatever.
$532.
$532, that's what we make it now. Are we getting anything for the $532? Last time that he was here, he's got sign-ups for football going on. We didn't have any baseball this year, things like that.
We're not gonna have any football either.
Okay, then we may need to look at what are we getting for that and assign him something else.
You know, you might as well forget about them for recreation director, because we ain't got nothing going on. We don't even have enough kids in the city limits for Wausau, though it included those out of city limits too. We've been paying a month somebody to do nothing. Yeah, that's my opinion now. And I think we do need to do away with the ball tip, because we ain't got nobody to play. You know, I don't know what he's been doing, you know, we just.
Could we put him in a different position if he would take it? If and allow him to mow grass like in the afternoons and on Friday and Saturday?
He could do that in his position now.
Or you can?
Yeah, he's his part-time,
Yeah.
for the rec,
There's a
rec-
real, I'm sorry.
yeah,
go
for
ahead.
the rec, for the rec, he can,
Yeah, but he would just, for rec, he just want to do it for the ball fields.
law bills
He
and
would
park
not care
areas.
up and outside the roads and where
No,
it needs.
no.
Well, I think, and didn't know we were going to, Steve could have been there, I'm sure, if we'd asked him. Didn't know we were going to talk about his up there, but with what Mr. Wausau said, if we're not going to have that program, see, last time we were in here, he's going to be ready to play soccer and football and things like that. And I don't know where that went to. I've even talked to him away from the city hall since that last meeting, and he was just gung-ho about having soccer and football.
And soccer still may be a possibility, it's not time to do it yet.
But I guess the question that begs to be answered is, what are we getting now for that?
No, we don't. We don't.
That's a lot of money for nothing.
Yeah. Yes.
Let's address them one at a time, Kim. Let's go back to the maintenance person. I don't know how many of you gets calls, and for 30, if not 35 years, I probably never got many calls, just occasionally the dog or the one thing or another. But probably this year more than I have, and only from a couple of people. So I also take that into consideration if somebody's unhappy. But we hear all the time how when anybody does come, they come to tell us how ugly our town is. They come to tell us how it's not being maintained and how it's not being kept and things like that. If you go drive around, you will probably all see some of what they are talking about. It is to some degree just like what we're being told.
But it's a lot better than it was.
It looks a lot better than it did. But if we're going to clean it up, and we just went through interviews and to replace Ms. West's position, and I believe that every one of the interviewees said something about cleaning up the town and having this and having that. That either needs to be, we need to do more than lip service to it. We need to say this is what we expect out of somebody to come in and do, or need to be able to address the people who come in and tell us how ugly our town is or something like that. Even though we're not on the large, we're not on the overhead large screen or anything like that, we will answer to the voters.
Well, I feel like that we need a part-time maintenance, We don't know how long Tim's gonna stay, or if Tim's gonna stay, There's a lot to be done right now. There's a lot of frustration here right now on the office part and the maintenance part, We got work orders lined up in there. And, most of the time we don't know where they're at or what they're doing, They don't check in with us to see if we got anything important to do. Most of the time, we call, we cannot tell if they're still on the clock, if they're off the clock, Do I think a time clock's gonna help that? No, I don't, because they're just not gonna clock out, not gonna clock in, or whatever, They'll get busy doing something, not clock in.
And I know that you're going to be leaving us shortly, it won't be a concern, but we need to make sure that the next person knows if they're going to be the day-to-day supervisor, and that's kind of the role we've put Margaret in over the years, if she's the one, then that person's going to have to write them up, send them home, drop their pay, make a recommendation that they be terminated. And that's our fault. If we got employees ain't working, that's on us.
The only thing, we can't prove that they're not working. We got our suspicions that they're not working, but we cannot prove it.
But won't you tell Marcy one day to turn off her computer and get out of her car and drive around town and see if they work? Hey, we can find out if they work. there's enough of us that's in town that you could call us, you could call us once in a while and we could go and see whether or not they're working.
Just
Now,
don't stop and talk to them, or
That's right.
they'll spend an hour talking to
That's
you.
right.
So,
or, we could, we have the ability to put, GPS on phones. We pay for the phone. We have, or the Life 360, we have the ability to put the GPS on the truck. But all that is at a cost to the town, Well, Life 360 is not, it's a free app,
And that has worked to some degree. We did that because we got called that there was somebody else's wife's house, or they was in a bar, or they was wherever they might have been, and so we had a way of, but, if we got employees that you have to do like that, and you want that employee not in the first place, right? But on that phone now, that's not a bad idea, because that's just an app, isn't it? Probably don't cost anything.
And it would also protect him if he was out somewhere and got hurt, that he couldn't drive back here or something, we would know where he was at.
I think that's a good idea.
And like I say, it's not his personal cell phone, it's the city's cell phone that he uses.
I think that's a good idea.
I think it's a good idea.
Do we need a vote on
Okay,
that?
so you want to vote on it?
Yeah, what's the vote on
I'd
that?
like to get a vote and make sure that there's disclosure of that. I mean, I'm sure that's part of that's implied, but make sure they know that that'll be on their phone.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there a motion if we put a GPS unit on the employees' phones?
No, it's not gonna be GPS, it's gonna be Life 360.
Okay. Is that another GPS system?
Sort of like.
Similar?
Not exactly the same thing.
Okay. All right. We're gonna put on there what she just talked about. If we get a motion, that's what we're.
I made that motion.
She made a motion, okay.
I second it.
We've got a motion and a second that we put an identifying app on our phones, or a location identifying app on our phones. Any discussion on the motion? How you vote, Mr. Carter?
Yes.
Mr. Carter?
Yes.
Mr. Knapp?
Yes.
I vote
Yes.
Chair votes yes.
Yeah,
Now we're back to the maintenance.
yeah.
Now, I think a couple of things, unless DOC loses patience with us. Again, this is what you hear over the years. There's too much here for one to do. There's too much here for one to do. We can't put in a water line and a water meter and all the same day and keep up with it. I think probably we do need a second person, whether they full-time or part-time. We might need a second person. I wonder, could we get that person? Let them know that working inmates goes with that job and they'll get their certification. But then on the season, when we don't need the inmates, let them do something else. Let them do the mowing themselves, or the ditch digging themselves, or the park maintenance themselves, or the cemetery, or whatever it is they got to do. Can we do it that way? What can we do to? Sometimes, when you got one in the hole down there up to his chest and he needs something that's on the truck on the hole around him, you need two people on the same job. And I've seen it out there when the weather was 38 degrees and we had them down in the water in the ditch. They need all the help they can get then.
Do we need to get it on the agenda when we can hire someone part-time, and so we can get that, and tell them.
I don't, you want to speak for you? I think what Barbara's saying, if we're going to do that, we need to advertise.
We got to advertise, that's right.
Okay,
And I think y'all discussed last month,
Yeah, that's what we're trying to decide.
y'all gave them the option last month of getting the inmates a couple of days a week and then working together a couple of days a week. That's what y'all, and then they still, we still lost an employee,
If we work inmates 2 days a week, can they mow the town in 2 days a week?
Yeah.
But that would be up to y'all when we hire in.
And that's gonna include the graveyard, right?
It about takes next to 2 days just to mow the yard.
And, graveyard was bad last time I looked there.
It looks bad now.
What about until we decide what we're gonna do about the park. What if we had the other person back and then put the park mowing, the ball field mowing and things like that back on our recreation director, while he's not got any recreation going on.
Well, yeah, he could. You need to be doing something if you get paid.
That's my feeling.
The development club's more in the park up there now.
Yeah, they're gonna go to the park, you know. Have a fun day.
And nobody appreciates them more than I do, and all I get, but that's our responsibility. We need to have a plan for the town to fulfill this role. Okay, does anybody have a suggestion or a motion or anything on our maintenance, on replacing our maintenance person? If we replace him, are we gonna be all right in the budget? I know we've got workshops coming up pretty soon. I think when we budgeted this, that we intended it for a bit longer.
We intended to be a part-time position, permanent part-time. But, you know, we raised it to 40 hours, we really can't have two of any position, 40-hour people, you know, even two in the office or anything
Okay,
else.
so right now Tim is at
40,
and the other, David was at
28.
28.
Sometimes 32 when y'all paid him for his lunch, you know. It was 32 with his lunch hour in there, because it was 7 till 3
So,
to get the inmates back. It was 7, pick him up at 6, 7:30, you know, and we get him back at 2:30, he was off at 3.
so Tim's hours are theoretically
6:30 to 4:30, Monday through Thursday.
an hour off for lunch. Are we paying for that hour?
Yes, sir.
So we've got a 36-hour worker. And the 28 becomes a 24.
No, it'd still be 28. Well, yeah, it would be a 24. You didn't pay for them. But to watch inmates, you don't get a lunch hour. They switch it out, but you got to pay for that lunch hour to keep out of the labor board.
You have to pay the one who's got the inmates because that inmate cannot be unsupervised, and he's off on lunch, he's unsupervised. In theory, maybe sitting there in a truck, but he's either on the clock or he's off the clock for lunch. Which
And then
means
the
that the
one
other
that-
guy has to be paid for lunch because he
He's
has to
watching,
come over.
yeah, watching it.
I understand that.
How many inmates do we get at the time?
About 3. And they can turn out a lot of work, you know.
So it would be worthwhile to keep them if we had somebody certified to guard them.
I think so. But that's just me now.
To keep them,
Yeah, well, I think so.
yeah, I do, I agree with you. Okay, so part one of the maintenance thing is that do we all agree that keeping the inmates is a good thing?
Yes.
Okay, so now then if we do that, then that kind of answers the next question, do we replace the supervisor? I think we would have to. Now then, and aside, and we can address it separately, Parks and Rec. This has been a no year for recreation. I don't mean it will always be that way, but if we keep a recreation director, Steve or anyone, I'd like to have a plan that shows what they're going to be doing, and I'd like to have a product. I'd like to go down on Tuesday night, buy a hot dog and a Pepsi, and watch the other boys play ball.
Yeah, that'd be ideal.
Okay, let's leave that one alone then. Okay, then I think what the chair is looking for is a motion that allows the clerk to advertise for an assistant maintenance worker. Now, do they have a separate job description?
No, it says, our new description for the inmate supervisor is assistant part-time maintenance inmate supervisor / inmate supervisor,
Okay, but them other 2 days, what's he gonna do?
part-time maintenance.
Which this job description in as what?
As needed.
Okay.
No, it's in
Part-time
there.
maintenance.
Yeah, it's in there.
But I think our maintenance man person ought to be teaching whoever else is there in the event they do decide to walk off. We always say, what if they die? Let's think about what if they just got a better job or what they
Just come up
move
left, like David
move
did.
away. Yeah, nothing like that. So I think we need to make sure that Tim understands if we get another person, that we want him also teaching the water system and the things like that. Okay, did I cover that in, Mr. Carter, did you hear my rambling proposed motion?
I did a moment, about 5 minutes ago.
And we're okay with it? Okay. All right, do we have that motion?
Now I'll make that motion.
We have a motion. You know what you want to do?
Yes, sir, I got it.
Second motion.
And we have a second to the motion. Any discussion on the motion? Mr. Wolfson, how you vote?
Yes.
Mr. Rattler?
Yes.
Mr. Carter?
Yes.
Mr. Carter?
Yes.
And Chair votes yes. Could we look at our agenda? Do you want to move down here? We and go ahead and cover that.
The slide?
Yeah.
Okay.
They may have another appointment or something.
Okay. Okay, so they're not actually here to speak tonight. We are introducing a resolution tonight, or our ordinance, I'm sorry, tonight, that they have requested, and we'll be doing that in just a minute. You have on your podium here a couple of signs. They're going to put up some signs for us in our park that says our parks are tobacco free. And I like the hour instead of this park is tobacco. I like that our parks are tobacco free. They're going to put up those. They're going to come in and clean our parks, correct? And pick up.
We actually came on Monday, I believe it was, and cleaned up Boston Palace Park.
Okay.
And they have volunteers that would be coming, right?
Wonderful.
And they're going to, we don't have to buy these signs. They'll furnish these signs and put them in our parks. And they just want this resolution for us, which Mr. Carter has prepared.
Tell me about the unfiltered cigars. I didn't know that.
That was one of the things that when they passed the law about you can do the outdoor places, they did exempt unfiltered cigars. And one of the reasons they said there's no debris with the unfiltered because you don't have the cigarette filter, or you don't have a filter. So that was one of the things that said, and you never know, we have a major cigar industry down in Tampa also with a strong lobby, so.
So actually, we can't say tobacco free if I can smoke a cigar.
That's the one area that is exempted by the state statute.
Do we have to put that on the poster?
That's why it's actually on the sign. It will be there.
No, I'm saying can we not put that on there?
Can we?
I
It's a statute number, and if the statute number is on there, it would explain it. But I understand what you're saying. Do we need, because you'll have somebody smoking a cigar and everybody, well, it says no. That's a good question. Probably can. We could probably add that.
And the cigar smoker, it's up to him to know where he can smoke or not us
Exactly.
if he can smoke.
Yeah, I think, you don't want somebody complaining over here saying take action when the law really doesn't allow you to take action because of the exemption. So I would agree that maybe that needs to be addressed.
I like the sign with that right there left off of it.
Yeah.
If they know they can smoke there, they do.
Yep. And
Yeah, what it is, but-
whoever's taking enforcement action would need to know that that is an exemption.
Yep.
Well, I will add that that's not carved out in the ordinance that I drafted. I would tend to say ask for forgiveness rather than permission and go the way you're talking about, Mayor.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
I think so.
If somebody wants to challenge it, we'll be happy to amend it later.
For sure. Okay. Do we, tell us what that says?
This is ordinance number 2023-01, an ordinance of the town of Wausau, Florida concerning tobacco and alcoholic beverages, providing for the prohibition of consumption and use of tobacco, tobacco-derived products, electronic cigarettes, liquid nicotine, and all other nicotine delivery systems, and alcoholic beverage in town parks, provided for severability and provided for an effective date. And we need a motion to advertise this for final reading and August.
Okay? Okay. Mr. Likens, have you seen this ordinance, or are you familiar with it? You see it, hear anything there that's gonna be hard to enforce?
As long as we have an ordinance number handy, it shouldn't be too bad. I mean, usually most of the ordinance like that, it goes from like warning up to, obviously depending on severity, but, and what kind of position we're in, but usually as long as we have an ordinance number to reference, then we're good.
Somebody in your office have an opportunity to look at this before our next meeting, wouldn't you?
Sure, do you have, Sheriff Cruz, PIO email address? Send it to her.
Yeah.
We'll get that care of.
Okay, we're just voting tonight to advertise, and we can adopt it in August. Does this have to be read twice?
Yes, sir.
But the second time we can adopt it at the same time. Okay. So we'll read this tonight and we'll advertise it and we'll read it again in August and adopt it, assuming that we are going to adopt it. Okay? Okay, do we have a motion to advertise ordinance?
I'll make a motion that we go ahead and advertise.
So I have a motion to advertise ordinance number 2023-01. Is there a second?
A second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? How you vote on that, Bert?
Yes.
Mr. Wolfson?
Yes.
The chair votes yes. Ms. Carter?
Yes.
Mr. Carter?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Let me acknowledge something too, Mr. Brown, before we leave. Those of you just saw that may have already known this, but we have a thank you card from Mr. Brown's family to your kind thoughts, expressions of sympathy. It's deeply appreciated and greatly acknowledged. May God richly bless you. This is from the Clarence Brown Senior family. Mr. Brown's dad passed away about 3 weeks ago, I'm thinking now, if I'm remembering the time frame right. And we acknowledge that with 4 gifts, and this is an acknowledgement of that from Mr. Brown's family. I hope your mom and everybody doing well.
The family's doing well, and really do thank you during that time of need. I just say this, it is appreciated, and he was 91 years old, and I tell people if God gave me the gift to bring him back to life, he would look at me and tell me, you don't love me, because he's definitely in a better place.
Thank you for your lesson tonight. Okay? Madam Clerk?
I'm looking for my resolution here. Right, anyways, resolution 2022-3, a resolution closing that portion of Jackson Street from the right-of-way of Glen Avenue north 300 feet. We've been having 2 public hearings and it's been advertised.
Are they issuing that in our
It should be in there, Marcy, is that in our books? I have not read it.
About 15 pages in.
I thought I saw
I thought it was. There it is.
it. Okay.
Adopting an amendment to update tomorrow.
About 12 pages.
That's what that's just, anyway, it's 2023-003, closing that portion of Jackson Street from the right of way of Glen Avenue north 300 feet.
We read that last time, we read it.
Yeah,
Yes.
this is the second
We're
reading.
probably the only ones that don't know what we're talking about. Down on Jackson Street, it makes a sharp turn, goes back to 77, right there where Mr. Roquefort famously on Midland Church, and they're asking to close that right away goes right straight on the north there, goes up real bad. They're asking to close that. The owner is asking to close that. Okay. Well, I guess we need a motion before we discuss it. We have a motion to complete the closing of the 300 feet north Jackson Street.
I'll make that motion.
We have a motion, is there a second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Chair votes yes. Mr. Wolfson?
Yes.
Fryberg?
Yes.
Mr. Hart? Yes. Mr. Carter?
Yes.
Okay. You want to do the drug applications last? Or both?
Yeah, let's do that last.
Okay. We got a citizen's complaint on Hughie Lane. Personally, we feel like that this is a neighborhood dispute. One of them's dog goes down in this one's yard and they're very aggressive. We've called animal control a couple of times. But then the lady that's got the dog called back and said, well, they're living in a trailer trailer there. They live there all the time? We don't know that, you know, but they could be moving out one night a month and coming back in that trailer the next day. You know, we don't know that. But I don't really think this is a council issue that needs to be addressed by the council. I'm bringing it before y'all in case it does become that. But it's a neighbor-to-neighbor dispute, you know,
Civil matter, yes.
civil matter, yes.
Could it be, well, we can come back to that if we need to, but if we have a animal control situation there and they're not kept in their own yard on that gap, could it come back to be us or the sheriff's office?
Animal control's been out several times there.
Okay.
County.
Is the aggressive dog going on to other property?
Yes. Mhm.
Where is Huge's Avenue?
Down where Miss Mary Miller lived, going back to Martha and Ricky's house back there.
Okay.
Okay, that was just an FYI right now.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, and the two,
Yes, we may see that again.
we may. And we need, those two resolutions was a resolution 23-001, resolution of the town council of the town of Wausau, Florida, adopting this amendment to the update of the town's policy relating to affirmative action for use in administrating community development block grants, providing definitions, defining this action plan, and providing an effective date. These need to be voted and retro back to last month,
Okay.
the 215.
Every time we have a grant, somebody reviews it, and we have to make policy changes for anything from affordable housing to non-discrimination policies, et cetera, and these resolutions bring us in compliance with the terms of the grant, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay, what's the pleasure of the council?
I'll make a motion, we abide and do what we need to do.
We have a motion to approve the resolutions by Mr. Walksnaam, is there a second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second, any discussion on the motion? Mr. Carter?
Yes.
Mr. Carter?
Yes.
Mr. Bird?
Yes.
Sure, yes.
Okay, 2023-003. As 002, a resolution of the town council of the town of Wausau adopting this amendment to update the town's policy related to the purchases for use in administrative community development block grants, providing definitions, defining an action plan, and providing an effective date. Same situation.
Okay. And there's two, because of what?
They're different areas of what we're
Two
doing.
different- Okay, two
Yes.
different policy changes, okay, this is for the second, okay? Is there a motion that we update the policy on, for the resolution, 2023-002?
No.
I make a motion.
We have a motion, is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second, any discussion on the motion? Mr. Carter?
Yes.
Mr. Rattler?
Yes.
Mr. Wolfman?
Yes.
Chair votes yes, Mr. Carter?
Yes.
Okay. Our ice machine has beat the dust after 27 years, you know.
I've been 27 years old.
Yeah, and it's probably not, but you know. You have, now Gulf Ice Systems are on state grid. You also have, we got a second quote for those from Hasty Heating and Cooling. Their quote is $5,000. And Gulf Ice is for one that does 70 pounds of bin storage, production in 24 hours, 175 to 238 pounds, around $2,600, you know. But these are state bid here, you know.
26 versus 5,000?
Yes, sir.
right.
It's on the one back, in the back. Right past your.
I don't see.
Highway stuff.
Mr. Hasty is not going to provide a van, the other one includes a van.
No, they couldn't. Our bid's okay out there, you know.
Way back here.
But,
This is the one that you just registered,
yes, sir, the biggest one there.
so he's not, so what is he doing here? Is it the whole thing
Yes, sir, that's the whole thing.
versus just the head over here? My goodness.
So this is, like I say, this is government schedule, you know, so it's gonna be a lot less
That's
than,
good, that's good,
you know, we always file for state bid if we can.
yeah.
If it's dark. Toward the last one, that one out there came from.
Okay, we've got two quotes. There's not a picture or anything like that on the, well, let's see them at the, there it is. Okay, I'm gonna try to explain this, and don't have any idea what I'm talking about. The head, I think the best way I can explain it, the bend is where the ice drop down in, and from there up where the cooling and the water comes into it, and the ice is made, everything, that's the head. The $5,000 bid is just for that part, set on the head, set on the bend that we still have out here. I think the doors off of that bend.
It's good,
That,
badly used.
yeah, that, I think that bend is not usable, but and then the other one is for the whole machine, which is on your picture page, just the one on the far right end at the top row of pins there. That's the,
And that whole thing is $5,000.
The head is, the whole thing on this one is $26.53.
This is 2653.
almost half price.
You're not gonna beat state bid with a private contractor, hardly ever, you know. But since they do our work, we gave them the option to give us a quote.
What's the pleasure of the council?
I say to go with the cheaper one.
State
If it's
bid.
the whole thing. Versus just the head.
Is that the one we're gonna go with, and the 70 pound,
Mhm.
2653?
Yeah.
Okay, you say you go, is that your motion?
That's for the entire ice machine, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
the top one on the right.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. All right, we have a motion by Mr. Reinhardt, is there a second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Mr. Reinhardt?
Yes.
Mr. Forsham? Yes. Chair votes yes. Mr. Carter?
Yes.
Mr. Park? Yes.
Okay. Y'all asked me to, you know, if y'all wanted to go out for request proposals for the 2022-2023 fiscal year audit. We just need a motion to advertise.
I'll make a motion we advertise.
Okay, we have a motion or a second? Second. We have a motion and a second. For discussion's sake, are we not doing 22, 23 right now?
Now that we're going 22, we're going a year behind. We're fixing to do 22, 23 at the end of September 23. That'll be 22, 23. Started in October of 22 and ends in 2023. They haven't done, we just finished 21, 22.
Okay. So whatever we do now, that won't start until after October.
Correct, yeah.
Sometime in the
Yeah.
spring of the year, probably.
Well, hopefully they're here sooner than that.
And
Yeah.
it'll be finished about 24 hours before it's time to be in Tallahassee.
Well, I had to come in on Saturday and send it to Tallahassee.
Okay.
But this year, our audit was $25,000 a year, you know. That's a lot of money for us to just sit up here and spend without seeing if there's something better out there. And Mr. Carter will help me with that and all that.
We have a motion. Did we get a second? We did. Further discussion, got a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Mr. Walksnail?
Yes.
Ms. Rattler?
Yes.
Mr. Carter? Yes. Mr. Carter?
Yes.
And Mr. Rich, yes.
And y'all had also asked me to put on the agenda to advertise for RFPs for a water system operator, contractor, water system contract operator.
Okay. You have a job description for that?
No, so we don't. And so DEP does that, and it's 3 days a week and 1 weekend visit per month is what Mr. Rich does and what we can do with DEP. As long as we don't increase our pump sizes, you know, when we replace the pump at the tank down there.
So how do we go about advertising? Do we cite some DEP regulations or
We'll cite.
ordinances or something like that, or just tell them how many days they're gonna work and they're supposed to know what to do when they get here?
I guess, we haven't done this since I've
I know.
been in, you know.
There's
And I'm-
certifications involved.
Yeah, they got to be at least a Class C and water.
Definitely get that in there.
And I can probably get something from some other, or surrounding municipalities where they're,
We did one in Georgetown, gosh, 4 or 5 years, it might have been 6 years ago. I could ask Tracy Hall
Okay.
and dig back into my files on that, see if that would be helpful too.
okay.
Okay. All right, what's the pleasure of the council? Advertising for a water system contract operator.
Motion.
Is that what Mr. Register does? So we're advertising for this
And he's more than welcome to put in you know,
application?
yeah, he could submit his RFPs, yeah.
We have a motion by Mrs. Reinberg. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion on the motion? Chair votes yes. Mr. Carter?
Yes.
Mr. Clark? Yes. Mr. Reinberg?
Yes.
Mr. Walker?
Yes.
Did I miss the vote on the audit? Did y'all vote? Did I miss it?
We did unanimously.
You said I'm slipping here, you know?
And the SWAT, we didn't need to vote on that.
We done the ordinance covered that, yeah.
We did the ordinance, okay? All right.
Okay? Y'all have information in your packet. The FDOT public meeting is going to be here next Thursday night from 5:30 to 6:30. We'll have a packed house.
Is there anything new on that we know that we don't know yet?
No, just what they give us. They won't,
Is there going to be any design changes, or do you have any
they
idea?
will show us that when they get here. Soon we'll hope what we know, you know.
I'm sure I'd like to see them add some beautification kinds of things into that. Street lights,
Well, the streetlights we're supposed to get.
divided, small divided, medium.
We won't
Well, they
go.
don't
We don't have
have,
no room for
We ain't
that.
got a meeting.
and they don't have a traffic light down
No,
here.
sir, always stop.
Forward stop.
Is that my understanding? Is
That's
that,
gonna be a disaster.
we can ask for that next Thursday night when they come, you know.
It took us forever just to get a flashing light, didn't it? Yeah. Well, you had to stop.
Four-way stop at the
You had
walkway.
to stop and see it.
Yeah.
And it didn't even,
I remember when that happened.
the flashing light?
Yeah, a lot of excitement around.
Yeah, what? Stood out there for a day or two and just watched it go off and on.
The 2021-2022 fiscal year audit will be presented to y'all at the August meeting. Hilton is no longer doing that. We have a new one coming, Tyler Dunaway.
Okay, still considered burn?
He is.
Bill Burton is bad to change if you were name and be involved.
He's still there, but he said he's done his time running this lady road.
Yeah, okay. Anything else?
Your clerk applications.
Just one more
One
thing?
more thing, clerk applications. You have in your packets,
There, here, I see.
the first one in your package is Miss Denise Spencer. She lives at 1816 Glen Avenue here in town. The second application is Miss Patricia Lynn Phillips Gothard. And we all know Lynn.
Okay, who did you say the person was Spencer?
Yeah, Denise Spencer.
Mine is the same.
Should be in the same order. Ms. Marcy's very good at that. The second one is Tracy Lee Bracken. Ms. Bracken lives on Bonnet Pond Road. All of our qualifications are pretty good, you know. The other one is Miss Linda Glasgow. She lives at Mud Hill Road. And then we have one more that's Tessa Kirkland. She lives at Chapel Branch Road in Vernon. And the last one for y'all to consider is not in the package yet, but it will be Miss Janet Enfinger. She lives down, Janet Miller. She's Mr. James Miller's widow that lives down on Hughie Lane.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't seen that one.
No, we haven't got it pulled out. She applied when Robin applied, and she just asked for hers to be pulled and considered. She applied when Robin applied,
Oh, yeah.
and she asked for hers to be, you know, the sell file for a year, so, you know, she asked for hers to be pulled and considered. And if it's over a year, I'll get her to, but she did ask us to do that, she
When,
did.
when did you come to work here?
February of '97.
97. 26 years.
Mm-hmm.
So we know how momentous this and how far-reaching this particular hire can be. How do we approach it? If we don't have to do it again in another 26 years, this council will be happy. But
Now,
I'm glad to see the new job description fuller, and just even as we talk tonight about the things that we sometimes by action, sometimes by inference, that has put on that position. So is there anything we need to discuss tonight, or just have time to interview? How does the council approach this?
I think Marcy and I need to let each one of these people know that this will not be a 40-hour position. 40-hour-a-week position. At the maximum, it'll be 28 hours. You know, that's the maximum. You know, our budget just cannot, you know, support a 40-hour employee.
How many hours does Marcy work?
28.
And you work 28 then?
I work 16.
Oh, you work 2 days.
Yeah, she was until.
Okay.
I work 28.
Until she got old enough to get a pension.
Actually, I worked 21 hours a week all last year, you know, 3 days a week, 7 hours a day. And then I went to 2 8-hour days in October 12. When we finally hired somebody, we went back to 2 days a week. You know, got to pay a little Social Security back, you know.
If we, just for council's consideration, if we made it 28, and we could let one of the people be off, one will work on Monday and one will work on Friday, but they will both work Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. We can do that with 28 hours, can't we? We
Yes,
can
sir.
do that with 4 7-hour days.
Yes.
And that way we got more coverage. Again, it's just like the maintenance man. You got one person here and they have an emergency, the city hall gets closed, or they have to make the bank deposits and the runs and things like that.
And I'm sure that anybody else that comes in here is gonna take their vacation, they'll have it all saved up here, you know, they're gonna get to take it.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, when one bills is late, everybody says, well, I was down there on Friday, ain't nobody ever at the office. I go down there and, well, that way somebody be here on Friday. Office will be open to the public 5 days a week. And that's just a thought. If we make it less than 28 hours here, we need to adjust somewhere.
Oh, you know, the courthouse and all those up there, they're 8 to 4 Monday through Friday. But they're all paid for their lunch hour, you know, they actually work 35 hours a week, but they get 1 hour lunch, you know, they get paid for 40 hours, you know. If I remember right, is that correct, Roger?
They did. I'm not sure what's happening now, but
So actually they-
that changed a time or two when we would move out of one building into another and something like that, but they finally all got back.
But most of them work 35 hours a week up there, you know, and consider, you know.
So are you suggesting that you would be paid for lunch hour here as well?
No, I'm not suggesting that. They might suggest it, the other people might. I'm in the short roads, you know. You know, sometimes maintenance is a different dog out there, you know, they have to be here during their lunch hour somewhere or another, you know, one of them does. You know, Marcy and I stagger our lunch hours,
So
but
to get 7 hours, to get 4 7-hour days, 28 hours.
it's 8 to 4,
That's 8 to 4.
Monday through Thursday with 1 hour unpaid for lunch. Yeah.
That 8 to 4 is good at office hour, that's kind of standard. And I kind of like that. I'm not saying I'm locked in on that if we got more discussion, got other ideas and things like that, but I kind of like that.
And you still got that 1 day a week off extra, you know?
Yep.
Florida retirement,
You still got a 4-day, yeah, that gives them retirement and insurance.
retirement and insurance and sick and annual leave, 13 days, you know. And then when y'all vote to give us that deep holiday, Juneteenth.
Did we vote to do
No,
that?
sir, you didn't.
Huh?
No, sir, you didn't.
I didn't think we had.
No, you didn't,
I
sir.
was never seen it.
No, you didn't. Y'all didn't.
I was absolutely that day.
City of Vernon got it this year, but you know why they got it? They had a council meeting scheduled that night, and their attorney said that would be best interest of them not to hold that council meeting that night, just go ahead and give their employees off that day. City of Vernon's attorney, Jeff didn't ask him, he wouldn't go with me on
I
that.
bet the county employees just missing Charles Cross right now.
I bet they are.
Is still Michelle over there? Is she still burning on?
Yes,
She is.
It's 28 hours, is that minimum, that if they give less than that, they don't get benefits, do they? What's the-
Right.
What's the minimum that they can get benefits?
28 hours.
Yeah.
Because y'all consider the 28-hour position a full-time position. Other than that, it would have to be 30 hours to get the benefits, you know, but 28 hours is what we consider a full-time position. Now, we got one in there that would like to work 8 to 1, 4 days a week. That position would be no benefits other than Florida retirement and maybe a day a month, or not even a day a month, about 4 hours a month of annual leave and sick leave.
We've got a pretty liberal personnel policy here for our jurisdiction.
But the clerk's saying that
Employees like liberal. I always like day off.
that's right.
What does the council think?
And one more thing to add, we can go ahead and motion to interview these as, we're gonna have budget workshops coming up very soon. You know, we've got a few of the figures from the state, but they've got that budget by September 30th, you know, we got the move. And, so we can do that. We can interview at a budget workshop and hold a special meeting, sometime and, you know, do the budget and all that.
Did you talk to most of these, or you or Marcy talked to most of these when they came in?
Most of them came in with their applications, one of them got emailed to us, I think.
Is there any one of them you think if we say it's gonna be a part-time, that they would, will somebody withdraw themselves? I saw 2 or 3 in there that said full-time on it.
Yeah, I think for at least 1 or 2,
Yeah.
full-time.
So we said we're gonna do the interviews at the next workshop, is that what we're gonna do?
That depends on what we decide here tonight.
When is the next workshop?
We'll have to set that. Marcia, you got your calendar on you? Nancy, you got your calendar on you?
I don't, I'm
This is
thinking.
some farm.
They said
I'm
by
not
the
sure
end,
how quickly you can get,
the budget.
revenue estimates together, back 2 weeks from tonight, that puts a week ahead of the next meeting or something like that.
Yes. We need to be able to hire somebody at the next meeting if all possible, you know. And Marcia's training on somebody that she's doing excellent, you know. In fact, in all reality, if she was brave enough, she could step up and take the whole thing over.
That's what I've been, talking to her about, yeah. And I'm just one person, but I mean, yeah, I wish you could consider that, Marcia. Okay? That's all I'm gonna
And,
say.
yeah, and I think that's a logical thing to do, and I don't know that we've got it in our personnel policy, but if we
We do
can,
have it.
that if there's a vacancy in any department, the assistant can, without having to advertise or something like that. But,
Now granted, that water
what's 2
system,
weeks from tonight?
The third,
The 3rd of August?
I think so. My battery's about dead too. Next week's 27th, and the next will be the 3rd.
Yeah, 3rd of August, 3rd of August, something like that. That would give us 2 weeks for them to notify these people, get our budget figures together, and then.
we have very preliminary budget figures, but we got nothing that,
And then that'll give us 2 more weeks until the next meeting, give us time to,
First Thursday in August, that sounds good.
5 p.m.
is that good for you? Mr. Walker?
Yeah.
Mr. Carter, is that good for you? Okay, 5.
Because, you know,
So that's gonna be a workshop day? No.
workshop special meeting, workshop slash special meeting, and interview. We're gonna interview and a workshop on the budget. You got something like that?
Can we just call it a special meeting, we'll work on budget probably in session? We don't have to call it
Yeah, special.
Just call it a special meeting or can we recess this meeting till then, and we'll have to advertise?
We gotta advertise that budget workshop anyway.
Oh, yes, sir, you have to advertise the budget workshop.
The workshops?
You have to advertise everything with that budget. You don't miss nothing
All
there.
right, just advertise us for
Special meeting,
special meeting.
budget.
Yeah, slash, whatever. Every how you have to, need to do it there.
Okay.
Is anybody got anything we need to talk about on the clerk applications now? We've all got all of them to Ms. Insminger or Ms. Miller, and you'll get those to us.
Yes, sir.
As you have it. Anybody got anything we need to talk about tonight concerning the applications or the process?
Is it gonna be where we all interview them, or?
And I would encourage us to make plenty of notes and plenty of questions because this is a weighty issue and again, all the things that's involved. I probably got about eight questions that I would like to ask each one of them about that. And I recommend it all if you have as many as you want.
Well, we're gonna, I like the way you did the, Carol's, the grading system that y'all use. I like that.
I can fix y'all something for that.
Okay.
Well, that, I think that.
Marcy and I together can.
Yeah.
We fix a chart of what we,
Yeah. I like that.
Will you need each of our systems?
I would like your questions, yes, sir.
Okay.
You need that on too?
Okay, we can do that.
Another thing on the budget, I've been talking with the League of Cities, as y'all know, our property liability, workman's comp and all that is $45,000 that we paid out this year. That has hurt our town. $25,000 worth of audits, you know. That's a big thing right off the top, you know. And just to be informed, I haven't got the figures yet, but I will get them in the next week. They said, look for at least a 50% increase on property values, property premiums. If that happens, you know, we may have to just do our auto and workman's comp and hope to goodness we get a storm FEMA comes in. You know, I mean, I know some cities is gonna have to do that, you know, it's just impossible to, you know, if our premium goes to $60,000 a year or even $50,000 a year, you know, we can't meet our payroll and pay our operating expenses and You know, I'm just giving y'all a heads up of what it might be. This is the worst case scenario. But he said to look for a 50% increase.
Is there anything in the budget we can
We're still,
lose, trim?
we're gonna look at everything being trimmed. And my suggestion as of right now, you know, is to, you know, we're in the last 2 months of the fiscal year, let's cut that spending as much as we can. We got a maintenance person that likes to spend, you know, that we had to take his, you know.
Well,
Yeah.
we can do, I know, again, just the experience from the background is that it was not an unusual thing for July and August for us to do, to stop everything to payroll, emergency spending and things like that. We got something.
And, you know, we're not, you know, all our funds look low right now, but they're holding state monies right now for the end of their fiscal year. They're not gonna let our state monies go till soon here, you know.
We won't get our money from them till it's.
Till the governor finalizes that budget and it goes into,
Okay. All right.
but that's, you know, just what we are. I don't have
Anything
anything, no,
else?
sir.
Okay, Mr. Porter, you got, have anything for the council tonight?
I don't have anything.
All right. Ms. Carter?
Is everything good to go for Fun Day?
In a perfect world.
But we don't have that, so everything.
The beauty
Back to
pageant,
question.
the beauty pageant is Saturday night. We have stocked the new restrooms. Marcy's been ordering everything.
They're working?
They're working. Right now, we'll see, we haven't flushed them yet, but we're working. But it is hotter in those restrooms than it is outside, so just get prepared. And Mr. Wausau had on his fan, but we went ahead and purchased one fan, and the development club is purchasing one fan.
These are those big,
Big commercial. Yeah.
tall fans that we
Yes,
used
sir.
to have. Where's the ones we used to have?
We got 2 of them down there, where the rest of them went. It's a good thing.
Oh, some of them wound up missing. No, no.
We may have one missing, but we can't do, we got one out in the shop there, but it's, we moved it to the shop because it's got a defect on it, we didn't want it down there in there. But yes, ma'am, everything's ready, and we'll be ready by,
So it's going to be all in there without any dirt.
we got it.
On the building itself, we're not going to be in it by next Monday, are we?
We may have it painted and some fans in there, the big fans in the ceiling and all, and, but no, sir.
But the ramp won't be finished by this time next year.
If we get it approved by January, you know, we could do a lot of work, you know. Most that's gonna be contract labor, you know.
Yeah, is there anything that can be done to replace, how expensive is it going to be to replace those doors down there? Steve was talking about that. They just, can we frame up a new jam of some kind? Can Mr. Myers over here come in here and cut out and weld it and do something for it? What can be done to those doors?
Greg's been down there and worked on them several times. He said,
They're all,
John might can go down there and look at them and give us an idea of what we might can do.
John thought you was going to say
He
that.
knows he gets to know a lot.
That would be nice. It's just one of those things. Okay. Anything else, Mr. Carter? Yeah. And I think we need to be concerned about Fund Day. It puts us on the map. Okay. Mr. Wolfson?
I got it.
Right, Bert?
What is going on with the walking park in there?
Like us all, what?
Like, I mean, did it ever like get cleaned up from the
Oh,
hurricane?
yes, it's cleaned up, yes. Yeah.
Yeah,
It looks good down there now.
yeah.
When you been down there?
Well, it's been, I don't know, probably about a month ago we went
Yeah.
by, and the gates was locked, and I thought, well,
Tim's been down there, I think, working on it, so he says he has.
okay.
We'll double check on it.
And what's the deal with the splash pad?
What's mean?
Well, I know, whenever I watched the
Oh,
last meeting, somebody said something about it being slick or something.
we got the paint and the non-skid paint, we have it, we just haven't got it on there yet.
Wasn't there some kind of?
There was some
mat or
matting on
something?
it, there was, but when Michael come through, we just tore that matting up. So it's best interest Have you been to Westfields? It's beautiful, and it's just painted concrete.
I haven't, but I would hate for us to get sued over somebody's child slipping and falling.
There's one slip spot on that whole place, and, but we have to paint the whole thing.
I have two things, but let me pick up on her last comment. Mr. Carter, we hear often, and I also hear it in my other life as well. We had a former county attorney that said something to the effect that anybody can sue anybody for anything. You just have to have the best attorney.
That's right. Yes,
So
sir.
with that said, he also said that everybody's always talking about what our liability is, what our liability is. He said that he was doing something that was negligent or proactive to cause or accident or something like that. So if somebody just slides down out there, we're no more liable than we would be.
Or with that sovereign immunity.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So lots of times we don't do things or we don't proceed because they say, well, liability. Just because somebody falls or something else happens doesn't necessarily make us liable. Now, we can be sued and they can prove that we're liable because we've been told 17 times that hole's out there and we didn't do anything about it. But just because somebody runs into a pothole or falls over a fire plug or something like that, it does not make us any more liable than we would be. Okay. My two things is, Ms. Carter asked about, and you said that you check on it. If we come up with any other thing about how to charge for water out of these,
We're still working on that. That's going to be in the budget workshops, how we're going to proceed with charging for water for the contractors. Because it's going to be a bigger deal when 77 starts 3 years.
did we vote on that?
No, so we didn't vote on it. You just give us direction to bring it back.
But did we vote on the way it's been done now?
That was back when Ms. Palmer was the mayor, and it was just an executive decision to change up the charge.
Okay, and I didn't know that. I never.
That's been going on a while.
Yeah, I never remember it being something that we were all involved with, and if it's a policy, it should be. And not criticize Ms. Palmer, but that's the reason I'm always so careful.
Right, yes,
to make sure
and it was just, you know.
This office don't do anything unilaterally without everybody else being involved. Okay, the other thing, and please don't let that fall by the wayside.
No, we won't.
If you will.
Yes.
The other thing that I want to ask us is, how long can somebody live in a travel trailer in the city limits? Do we need to give Ms. Becker or somebody come answer that question for us?
Yes, we do, because what we've been told before is they can, you know, they can have it set up. And now this may not be, but what we've been told, as long as they move out one night of the month, they're not permanently living in there. If they stay somewhere else one night of the month, they're not in travel trailer permanently.
Technically,
I don't know that
I don't agree with that one, yeah.
I disagree with you, but I got set up over on blocks. And I do spend a night in a motel in Marianna and come back and spend 3 more days over there at my residence. They've been gone for.
We had one that,
Vacation, but my residence is still over here.
we had one that lived in a travel trailer on Monroe Street, on the backside of Jefferson, you know, Monroe back there. He maintained an Alabama address as his permanent address, but he stayed here most of the time, you know.
are they running on generators?
No, I doubt that.
What are they doing for power and water?
Hooking to their parents or whatever.
I see. That's not a standalone lot, but it kind
No,
of
it's
add
not.
on to an existing residence.
Mhm.
I got you.
Yeah.
Is that still happening?
No, but he's,
Okay, that needs to be reported if we know where things is going on and I know you get somebody in here with
fresh idea, you know, good for him.
but we need to do, do you agree with Mr. Nessie's portrayal to us that we can't do anything about our problem? Shipping taking people to court and lining up on the property. If they're
Over Traver Trailer?
over cleaning up lots and.
Oh, well, that's true.
Yeah.
You can get a municipal lien, code enforcement violations, then fines, then an assessment lien, and then foreclose that lien. And you can take a property, and that's an extraordinary measure. I'm doing one right now about to wrap up in Bluntstown. And makes us all kinds of uncomfortable. But it's the final straw, though, if they make you take that action.
Yeah.
It may be the only way that you can get them to clean it up or.
Yeah. I'm thinking that when we're told we can't do that, if their ordinance is any good, if we got one like it, ours would be good. And we need to get some.
We got the same ordinance. We got the same ordinance as county does. I don't know about you.
We can't, and it's a tall hurdle. I mean, they've got all kinds of defenses. The law is in their favor. The judges are certainly in their favor. But you can do it. Yes, sir.
Sometimes you make them think they don't do it that way.
Well, no, that's exactly right. You violate them, you fine them, you assess them and turn it into a lien and file suit, and that's usually the thing that makes them reconsider.
I drove through town this afternoon and I am, some places like Sanford, some.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I think you was going to address a couple of things for us. The animal registration and,
I'm not followed up on email.
The other thing, what was the other one, Marcy? Oh, he did that SWAT ordinance, that was it, and animal control, restoration. I sent you the email, that we wanted to discuss.
I don't think I got back to that. I apologize. What was the question? I'm happy to talk about it.
We charge $5 a year to register animals in the town of Wausau.
Okay.
Last year, we made $5 on that. We sent out
One animal.
one cat.
Goodness.
And I noticed, I was watching Vernon's.
is that like that?
I'm here, okay. But I was watching Vernon's and they're having the same trouble. They have the registration, but nobody registers their animals, And there's no way, I don't know how. We send the letters out. We send out 250 letters
I remember us talking about that
in
last
September.
year, I think.
Yeah, in September. And we get no response, to register the animals. We get an animal control call. It's not their animal, it's a stray,
And we just had a little bit of that taking place over a bad, alleged dog bite or whatever comes of that. But if we got an ordinance and we got that ordinance, everybody come in here, we had registered, I don't know how many people. Maybe we need to charge more if it's gonna cost us more. But part of that again is enforcement.
That's what it comes back down to. Yes, sir. That's right.
So what do we do now?
If it doesn't have any teeth, because we've got the interlocal with the county and they're not doing the enforcement.
You was here when all these people was coming in, matter of fact, who has it got bid? Was it Miss Perkins that actually got bid or,
No, JB's
who?
wife, JB Phillips's wife got bit.
Margin is on.
Yeah, BJ's wife.
BJ, what do I call him, JB?
Yeah, BJ's wife got bid. And, so I'd much rather have us pursuing and processing a registration thing. Sometimes somebody don't get picked up and it's got that tag on it. They say, well, this is Miss Carter. Well, we can take it home or she can come get her or something like that.
But getting them to do it is the problem.
That's right, that's the problem. What's the enforcement against the owner for not doing it when it's really just an animal control issue at that point? That's separate from the registration issue. I'll have to look, because you have to have some teeth in it to find out there was a penalty you could apply for it.
Please do, see if they are some teeth that can be put in.
I'll put that on my list.
I'm thinking if it's gonna cost us something initially, but we just tell animal control, come in town, pick up every dog that don't have a tag on it, and the dogs are being picked up, somebody won't own it after all. All these people that ain't my dog, it'll get to be somebody's dog when they start picking them up.
It's gonna be hard to put a tag on a cat.
The vet recommends you not put the tag on the cat.
Yeah,
But it costs us,
I got one dog and one cat, I don't mind registering either one of them, but I've got 5 or 6 more stray cats around my house.
Yeah,
What we gonna do about them?
that's the ones I
That's
think.
what's
would
being
be
picked
good.
up.
at $65 a pop for the city.
Yes.
Let me get this, my brother, you know, I need to see. It keeps ringing, so.
And we may not want to do anything, I just think we need to do something or, what you call it, council ordinance.
Council orders out. Ain't nobody gonna do it.
Well,
How can you crack down on it?
I don't disagree with that, but if we got a list of people and we had 30 or 40 dogs to start with, then we need to go back to those people and say, where's your dog? We knew at one time, we knew who they was. There was more than 1 or 2 that got registered. When we first done that, people come in registered, and even when they move into town, we give them ordinances, if you've got a animal, it's supposed to be registered. So just, Tim can drive through town and right down every house, he sees a dog in the yard, and we can go to him and say, got a dog in the yard, that's your dog, it can be registered. That's your dog, we need to have it picked up. Once we clean that, I'm not trying to be part to anybody, but I'd rather do that and have somebody now, this is where we're talking about liability. I think we're buying some liability then, if we told so many times, there's dogs out here, and then do it about somebody, and we haven't done anything about it, then I think we get into liability.
Well, maybe, but you'd have to have control and custody of the dog, and there'd be other factors that would keep, like you said about the splash pad, they'd have to be able to prove active negligence. That would be a little more difficult. I don't think the bare fact that they were registering animals and the animal had a tag on.
No, I'm talking about when people come in here and they've told us that these dogs are out and roaming around.
Oh, well, we haven't picked the dogs
And
up.
we haven't
Oh,
done
yes.
anything,
Yes, sir.
then I think we may have more liability than we do. I don't think there's more liability for not registering.
Well, maybe, but even if animal control were actively out policing the animals, you could still get one that could slip through, and we would have then been, making all the steps that we could take to police it. The 1 or 2 gets through, somebody gets bit, but we'd have to be able to show that. But we've got the interlocal, and we're not the ones enforcing them, so that's kind of the rub. So then Washington County shares some liability with us.
I'm just thinking somebody come in here and would maul around with a bad dog and all like that. I'm gonna try to say, well, Mr. Goodman, you need to go see him. That's a personal thing that he owns the dog. There's any liability on him, and the liability on him is because he didn't have it in custody, or didn't have it on leash, or didn't have it inside his yard.
They can claim that over against his homeowner's policy at that point. I mean, personally, but that'd be the.
Was that 2 things he was gonna talk to us about? Was that and what else? You told me that even though we.
I do remember you sending me that email, I didn't come back to it, I was moving fast that day, I apologize, Ms. Margaret. I think it was just that and the tobacco ordinance.
That's all we can see. I may get another one, I'll take back Roger, I don't know.
Okay. On, back to our maintenance department, anybody got suggestions about how we're going, how long will it take somewhere before you be able to tell me if these people is knocking off at home or knocking off or going home?
We will, Monday morning, we can ask him if that's telling that, for the council, we're gonna put the Life 360 on his phone. And
Because we've had a time log, and I probably, if I recall, I was probably the only one that thought that worked, or could work. Nothing works if we don't enforce. And, so this is where business is supposed to take place, so it's all right to share what you shared with me this afternoon about the phone call.
yeah,
Talking to our maintenance man, where he at, and things like that, it's middle of the afternoon, and he's telling his young, don't be quiet, don't be quiet, don't be quiet. That says to me that he's not down here somewhere working on a road or a ditch or something like that.
Yes, sir.
and we had
And
asked
he
him.
didn't have to clock out, so just whenever he got on the side of town that he lives on, he just kept on going, just said, coming back.
And we asked him about that, and he says if he don't get to take his lunch hour, he takes his lunch hour from 3:30 to 4:30. You know. So we don't know where to go with that, you know.
I don't think that should be taking place either.
Yeah, we should, job requirements, the job requirement.
Again, it's just what we used to do. You couldn't say, I'm not gonna eat lunch, I'm gonna knock off at 3 o'clock.
That's right.
You just, that's,
Well, they're getting paid for lunch.
you're right now, they are.
So I'm all for cutting out the paid lunch.
That's gonna cut out our, it's gonna get sticky there with the inmates, you know. You can't leave those inmates. And now, I think the county has to bring a pound back, don't they, Roger? They get paid for their lunch. They eat with the inmates.
Yeah, that one's gonna be,
Well, that might be an exception.
well, it doesn't.
No, we don't get paid for our lunch. When we take our lunch, we don't have paid for that
It
hour.
doesn't really have to be because Tim can eat lunch and not be paid. You get back on the clock and he watches the inmate while that guy eats lunch and not get paid. Again, in the perfect world, because sometimes they're not gonna be in the same proximity and something like that. And when you have those things that come up, you just have those things that come up and you do make comp time, or you do get to knock off work or some things like that. But just for it to be I'm not gonna eat lunch today and knock off every afternoon at 3 o'clock. I mean, in summertime, you got 6 hours to call work.
Why does he not come and clock in once one of y'all get here? I mean, I know his hours starts before
6:30.
Yeah. I mean, don't he have a key where he could come in and clock in?
He does.
I mean,
Is he having trouble getting here at 6:30? What time does he normally get here?
I get here at 7. And I cannot say that, and that's why we need the 3, I cannot say that he's not riding through town checking on something else, you know, like making his rounds before he comes to the town hall. But, you know, we don't never see them, you know, they don't come by and check in here and say, hey, y'all got anything we need to do?
He needs to come in here first and clock in and check his.
Well, I think y'all discussed that with them last time they were both here, when David was still here, you know, and it hasn't. I mean, it may have done it one day, Marcy, or
that might need to be discussed again, because I think they should be clocking in and checking with y'all and getting maintenance requests so that they know what is important and needs to be worked on.
How often and how do they go about getting their job orders for things that could be turned in?
well, we get desperate for them, we'd call them and say, hey, can you come by town hall here? We need you. Marcy has a hard time getting them on the phone.
I agree with Ms. Reitenberg. They ought to come by here and want to see which is the oldest job order or which one is the next one of importance.
Which was most important that needs to be done right now?
That's right.
Longer time if they don't come by. Don't give them any time until they
If they don't come by at 10 o'clock,
start at
don't
10
start that
o'clock.
time.
That's when their time starts.
Y'all really want us to get,
Mr.
y'all
Carter?
go ahead.
And they really need to be clocking in if we have a
Well,
time clock.
We don't have a
What I'm
time clock
trying to
right
do-
now,
what I'm
that's
trying to do is
Michael.
What I'm trying to do now is get it in place so that the next person don't put up with what you did.
And you got one sitting at that table right over there that'll put them in their place. She's a lot more hard-hearted than I am.
Good.
Yeah, she is.
Good.
She's not hard-hearted, she just
Does her job.
does her job and wants everybody else to do their job.
That's my kind of info.
That's my kind of employee too. I'm bragging on her, I tell you, I'm proud of her.
Okay, anything else we need to talk about? I'm listening to rambling now. Okay, we'll stand adjourned. See you in 2 weeks.